as well as missile launchers. That's according to black and white footage released by the U.S. Military Central Command. Meanwhile, in Iran, they say at least one person has been killed, a firefighter who was responding to a strike at an airport in Iranshar. They also say that bridges apparently were targeted again for the first time in the war since this ceasefire has been put in place. U.S. President Donald Trump had threatened to begin targeting infrastructure in Iran over its continued attacks on ships trying to go through the Strait of Hormuz.
That's correspondent John Gambrell reporting. It appears the Jeffrey Epstein saga isn't ending anytime soon. Correspondent Laura Winters says the matter is still being investigated on Capitol Hill.
The House Oversight Committee will likely continue to investigate people tied to Jeffrey Epstein as the investigation approaches the one-year mark later this month. Regardless of which party ends up controlling Congress in the fall, it appears lawmakers are still under pressure to investigate those connected to the convicted sex offender who died behind bars in 2019 in a New York City jail. The panel has interviewed more than a dozen people, and so far, no new information has surfaced that has resulted in criminal charges. Laura Winters reporting.
A video played in a Utah court reveals that the defendant in Charlie Kirk's killing told his roommate he wishes he hadn't done it the day after Kirk was shot in the neck while speaking to a crowd at Utah Valley University. Lance Twiggs, who is also defendant Tyler Robinson's romantic partner, described the interaction with Robinson during a recorded interview. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 139 points, the S&P 500 advanced 60. More at townhall.com.
With things moving fast to resolve the situation in the Middle East, the headlines may change, but the fundamentals haven't. America's debt continues to climb, and uncertainty still hangs over the global economy. That's why investors continue turning to one asset that has stood the test of time: physical gold and silver. For generations, gold has been viewed as a safe haven asset during periods of geopolitical tension and market volatility. That's why Advantage Gold wants to send you a free gold investment guide valued at $49, plus a free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's acclaimed book, Our Dollar, Your Problem, when you call 800-900-8000. Discover why central banks are buying gold, why many Americans are diversifying with precious metals, and how a tax and penalty-free rollover into physical gold and silver may fit into your retirement strategy. Don't wait until the next crisis dominates the headlines. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000 right now. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-900-8000.
One Canadian province has decided to open its doors to AI data centers. Bob Agnew reports.
Here in the U.S., many are complaining about the negative impact of data centers in their area, but the province of Alberta, Canada, hopes to cash in on the upside. Facebook and Instagram parent Meta said on Wednesday it will now invest more than $9 billion to build its first ever artificial intelligence data center in Sturgeon County, Alberta. That's its largest outside the United States. The country's Minister of Technology and Innovation says Alberta has created a regulatory framework to attract data center investment. Bob Agnew reporting.
The New York Times, the Daily News, and other media outlets are asking a federal judge to impose sanctions on OpenAI, escalating a legal fight over artificial intelligence and copyright that could shape the future of a struggling news industry. News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters.
From the KSEV Weather Center, tonight expect partly cloudy skies with high humidity and a low temperature of 77. Tomorrow anticipate a mix of clouds and sunshine along with the possibility of a thunderstorm in some areas. The humidity continues, so watch out for ponding on roadways. Temperatures will reach a high of 91. Tomorrow night will bring mostly cloudy conditions and high humidity with a low of 77. Looking ahead to Saturday, expect mostly cloudy skies and humid weather with a chance of a thunderstorm in the afternoon. The high temperature will be 92. With the KSEV Weather Center forecast, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Jason Caterina.
This program is brought to you in part by Ability Tree Experts. Ability Tree Experts, Houston's leading tree care professionals.
Call 281-441-4179.
Tune in to the Ray Massey Reverse Mortgage Show each Friday at 1 p.m. and Saturdays at 3 p.m. with Treybo Mortgage. Or call Ray directly at 855-266-1600 or online at reversemortgages4texans.com.
Thank goodness our weather experts are providing us with hurricane tracking charts and reminding us to be prepared for big storms. But they overlook one very important thing, the damage and destruction from broken limbs and uprooted trees. Call Louis Flory at Ability Tree Experts today, my friend for nearly 40 years, at 281-441-4179, and let him explain how this problem can be minimized with professional pruning. You see, when the tree canopy is too thick and dense, the tree can be completely blown over and tree limbs broken, causing terrible damage to the tree and maybe your home. Where tree limbs break, sap will ooze, and that attracts harmful insects. So you need to call Louis Flory today at 281-441-4179 and have his experts come out and professionally prune your trees to withstand sudden storms that are so frequent this time of year. Visit their website at abilitytrees.com. That's 281-441-4179. Ability Tree Experts, Houston's leading tree care professional.
Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's ChrisX Radio.
What we need right now is a clear message to the people of this country. This message must be read in every newspaper, heard on every radio, seen on every television. This message must resound throughout the entire interlink.
And now, your host.
I believe this is going to be our finest hour.
Chris X.
Good afternoon. It is our Friday show on Thursday. Oh, man, I'm ready for the weekend. How about you? You guys ready to rock and roll or what? I cannot believe the weekend's already here. I know. Everyone else is saying, no, it's not. It's not Friday yet. You cannot say it's Friday. Well, I can and I will because it's our Friday show on Thursday. Good afternoon. Welcome to ChrisX Radio. I am the aforementioned X-Man, bringing you that gift beyond price that is almost free, ladies and gentlemen. We bring you the spirit of talk radio. It is actually Thursday, as we like to say, but it's our Friday show on Thursday because the Amigos will take over tomorrow from 4 to 6, as they do every Friday. So as you know, two objects cannot occupy the same space at the same time, so we have to manipulate the time-space continuum and move our Friday show to Thursday. That also allows us to kick off the weekend 24 hours ahead of everybody else. So once again, the Amigos, take over tomorrow from 4 to 6. So we rock out. We have a little fun on our Friday show. We got a lot going on. I'm sure you guys heard, and we'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about, but 281-558 KSEV is the number, 281-558-5738. Bonnie Tyler, for those us 80s kids, she has passed away at the age of 75, which just kind of, it's sad because this is a voice from our youth. She had a very interesting voice, but she has passed away at the age of 75. Total Eclipse of the Heart, which is a great song, forever etched in the icon, annals of history, at least regarding pop culture. A song that a lot of people don't know was not originally written for her. People don't realize this. It was actually written for Meatloaf. You're like, what? Huh? What? Hold on. If you go listen to it, and then you listen to the Meatloaf songs, Meatloaf had which, by the way, he passed away a few years ago, but he had very dramatic, over-the-top sort of songs. It totally sounds like a Meatloaf song. It could have in fact, with AI, someone should go through and do it with Meatloaf singing it, and you'll hear what I'm saying. For those of us who are musicians, we get it right away. But once again, she made it a huge hit, so God rest her soul. Bonnie Tyler passed away at 75, Total Eclipse of the Heart. So, like I said, I won't play that, but I'll play this. Oh, yeah. We got to get down on Fridays because it's the weekend. Getting down on Friday. Getting. I like how she says getting down, and then the foreigner, Leo Morciolo, he actually pronounces it properly. Because the European mind cannot comprehend such lunacy here in America. Okay, here's my version. Well, his. He says getting down.
Partying, partying, yeah, partying, partying, yeah, fun, 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 fun. Looking forward to the weekend.
You know, it's interesting because he took this goofy song this kid did on the internet, which, by the way, did Rebecca Black go on to become an actual recording artist? I keep saying this. I know I've been playing this for months, probably years at this point, on the program. For those of you who don't know who Rebecca Black is, she was like a 13-year-old kid, or 12, I don't even know, maybe 14, whatever. She did the Friday, Friday, Friday song, and it was a video they put on YouTube, and it exploded. It went viral because, we'll just say its lack of awesomeness. And then this Leo Morciolo guy does all of these remakes, and then he remade it and did a video and put it on YouTube as well. His version is a little better. He's actually a hell of a musician, but he does that that metal singing. That Friday. And what's weird, I can sing like that now. I don't know why. I don't know if I could actually do that in a professional setting. Probably. I mean, that's how I did regular singing for years, so... Anyway, she did that, I guess, at some point. Maybe let's do that. Hold on. Let me look up Rebecca Black. Rebecca Black. Let's go Wikipedia. How about that? Even though it's not, once again, this can't always be factual. She was born June 21st in 1997. Okay. Singer-songwriter gained extensive media coverage of the music video for her 2011 debut, Friday, which went viral on YouTube and various social media sites. Okay, so 2011, 1997. So in 2007, she would have been 10. In 2011, she would have been 14. So she's about 14 years old and did this, and the song was panned by critics, and they called it was made, many people voted it the worst song ever made, or one of the worst songs ever made. She released a follow-up single called Saturday with Dave Days. I vaguely remember that. And then her debut studio album was preceded by 2 extended plays, was released in February of 2023 to favorable reviews. Her second studio album was Salvation, which was released last year, February 27th of 2025. Okay. She grew up, she looks like she's a good-looking lady. So, oh my Lord. I'm looking at her information. Her YouTube information, 1.56 million followers. I'm sorry, subscribers onto YouTube. 396 million views. Sometimes it's not about the talent, folks. Sometimes it's just about being the right person at the right time, doing the right thing. I just remember when the video came out. I remember that, and going and checking it out and just going, this is so bad. But it did real well, I guess. So anyway, welcome to the program. It's our Friday show on Thursday. We'll talk about whatever is on your mind today. I actually have some news and stuff we'll get into. 281-558 KSEV, 281-558-5738. All right, so Graham, Nazi tattoo, serial abuser, Plattner, formerly Maine's Democrat nominee. I don't know, he hadn't filled out the paperwork yet, but he is technically withdrew from the race against Susan Collins last night, ending his campaign that has been just rocked by one allegation after another, and then now this final sexual assault allegation. And he's given the state's Democrat Party time to, a few days maybe, time to name a replacement before November's election. We're suspending campaign operations, he said. and then proceeded to blame the Democrat Party and everybody else other than the fact that it's his own behavior that got him in trouble. Whether he committed this sexual assault, we don't know. It's her word against his. But the other things that he said, I think, combined with this was just, it eventually became, I'm going to say, an insurmountable object, but what it became was politically inexpedient. The moment he started dropping in the polls and it became clear that he had no chance against Susan Collins is the moment the Democrat Party finally turned on him. After, it's okay, he can have a Nazi tattoo. It's okay, he likes to whack it in porta potties. It's okay that he has a history of abusing ex-girlfriends and women. And then now this came out that he supposedly, was blackout drunk and then showed up at a woman he was dating, which she says she never dated him after this. But he showed up at her home unannounced and then raped her. He was on a pedophile site, or a site that is used by pedophiles, called Kick. I don't know, maybe he was trying to just pick up chicks. Hopefully of age chicks, but I don't know. I'm told I've heard rumors that there are worse things out there. I mean, what? Huh? How can you get worse than what has already come out? So he suspended his campaign. Now there are multiple people that have jumped in and now are going to try to go in and get the nomination. This is Kamala-esque. This is the Democrat Party doing what they do. It was the same thing they sort of did with Bernie Sanders, with the superdelegates. The Democrat Party is not interested in democracy at all. They hide behind the blanket of democracy. They claim they're all about democracy, but they have a habit of going through and dumping candidates that are democratically elected in their primaries and replacing them with their hand-picked candidates. So, anyway, Plattner said this is not real. He said that what's been claimed has not happened. So there's, less than a week before the July 13th deadline for a candidate to withdraw and still be replaced on the ballot. So he's getting out in that amount of time. Basically, what he said in his statement was that no Democrats, the fundraisers, they're no longer going to donate to his campaign, essentially making him dead in the water. So under Maine law, the state's party has until July 27th to name a new nominee. So they've got, about 17, 18 days. They'll pick someone, probably a woman. I mean, that's when you have this many problems with the dude, with somehow in Maine you can't find a guy for the Democrat nomination that doesn't have a Nazi tattoo on his chest, likes to whack it in porta potties, likes to abuse women, wants to rape a dude if a dude comes into his house. I mean, he, like I said, the guy really, and then of course spent his time on websites that are known for, pedophiles. If that's the best you can do in Maine, you must not have a lot to choose from. Oh, wait a minute, these are insane leftist Democrats. That's how they roll. So anyway, they got to replace him here by July 27th. Whoever is selected will have less than 4 months before facing longtime Republican Senator Susan Collins. I think she's running for her 6th term. Potential candidates had already been teasing their interest before Plattner even announced he was going to drop out, but a growing number began formally launching their campaigns today. The Maine Democrat Party says it will hold a nominating convention to choose the replacement. Once again, the Democrats, they're going to figure out ways to go through there and pick their candidate they want, not the lousy candidate the Democrats actually chose that would get obliterated by Susan Collins. They're going to try to get somebody else, which all of this, I think, leads for better things, hopefully, for Susan Collins, who is anything but a conservative Republican. She's not even conservative at all. She's the most liberal voting Republican. But the party says the convention will involve hundreds of delegates from across the state, but how and when that'll take place remains unknown. Multiple people have shown interest in the Senate race. I don't even know. I was going through looking through the names. I don't know any of them. So that's what's going on up in Maine. So Plattner's out. So the poster boy for toxic masculinity, he's gone. The Democrats got rid of him. You gots to go, man. See ya. And they'll replace him with something, someone, some way, somehow. But here in Texas, well, it's a different world, isn't it? Jasmine Crockett has said racism played a major role in her Democrat primary. against James Talafrico. So it's all racism why he got the nomination. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum has announced that her government is looking into taking legal action against ICE agents enforcing federal law. You know, she could prevent anything like this from ever happening again, right? How about keeping your illegals out of our country? And Iran is being hit again. Charlie Kirk conspiracy theories are suddenly disappearing with this little thing called evidence now that the hearings are underway. All right, 281-558-KSEV. This is our Friday show on Thursday. What is on your mind? 281-558-5738. We'll be right back.
Does your radio dial? Don't touch it. ChrisXradio returns after this.
Sunscreen? Check. Pool float? Check. Friends texting, what should I bring? Easy. With the largest selection, the lowest prices, and locations all over Texas, Specs is the ultimate destination for summer. Shop Specs! Kick off the fun during Specs Summer Sale with big savings on ice-cold cans, refreshing wines, and every kind of sip under the sun. Specs Wines, Spirits, and Finer Foods. The fun starts here.
Plumbing emergencies never happen at a convenient time. Nix Plumbing offers free estimates and free second opinions. Call Nix Plumbing and Sewer Services, 713-868-9907, or visit us on the web, nixplumbing.com.
NPL 38548.
This is Kevin O'Hara with O'Hara & Company Real Estate and O'Hara Homes. I'm going to pose some questions that you might want to research. Why was JFK assassinated? Did we really land on the moon? Is the Earth really a globe? And is it the size they tell us it is? Did 9/11 happen the way we were told? Are pharmaceutical companies really there to cure diseases? Who are doctors trained by? Did God create everything on earth that we need to stay healthy? Is fluoride in our water really helping us? What are those long trails of clouds left by airplanes, and what's in them? Did all the astronauts die in the Space Shuttle Challenger explosion? And is Elvis really dead? I search answers for everything. And if you're searching for a real estate company, give O'Hara Company Real Estate a call at 281-373-3393. Again, that's 281-373-3393, or look us up on the web at oharare.com. I have a special guest with me, my granddaughter, Bailey.
God bless America, God bless Texas, and God bless my pop.
Tune in each Sunday morning at 9 a.m. for On the Money with your host and CEO of Allied Wealth Texas, Ryan Wheelis, who can help you live your richest life possible during your retirement years. That's each Sunday at 9 a.m. right here on AM 700 KSEV.
Chris X here to tell you about Humble Amco Transmission and AC Specialists. People who know go to Amco. I personally trust Jay Streckfus and Humble Amco with all of my vehicle's needs. With complete car care, they'll take care of all of your auto needs as well. Always a free check engine light inspection, and tell them that Chris X sent you for a free engine scan. Call Jay today at 281-446-0862. That's 281-446-0862, or online at humbleamco.com.
Your smartphone is now your radio. All you need is a KSEV app. And with one click, you're listening to KSEV. Go to the Android Marketplace or the iPhone App Store. Search KSEV. Select the KSEV app. It's free and it only takes a couple of minutes. Listen to KSEV. Send us an email or text message. Connect to our Facebook page. It's easy with the KSEV app. More details at ksevradio.com. And now, back to Chris X Radio. Chris X Radio on the Voice of Texas.
I guess it's weird when you're reeling in the years and you're reeling in about Rebecca Black. Okay, so I had to go do a little research. My crack producer, which means he produces crack, Lucas, had informed me that Rebecca Black was apparently part of the gay queer thing. And sure, I looked it up. She had struggles with depression. And then on April 3rd, 2020, she came out as queer during an episode of the Dating Straight podcast. Now, here's the weird part. She said, I don't know how I'm going to say this without sounding like a bleep, but gay is a way of life. Gay is an energy that's so much bigger than how it have used it negatively. If you want to get to specifics, I'm queer, I'm bi, I'm pan, I'm all of those things, but I'm also gay. Okay. I guess when you live in a world where you can kind of do whatever it is that you want to do, you can just do whatever, I guess. So she's gay, but she's bi, but she's pan, so does that make her straight? But she's also gay, and then sounds to me like she's just, is that trisexual? She'll try anything. I think that's what we need to go with. At least that's what I'm going to go with. So anyway, so there you go. I did look up some pictures of Rebecca Black. Okay, so she looks good. She looks really pretty. She got some tattoos. I'm not a fan of that. But she looks good. She apparently got her nose did. So she had there was a bump on her nose when she was younger, and she just had a bigger nose. Well, she obviously got that fixed, and then now looks, I guess, more like a performer. And she has embraced the performance world, I guess. My guess is when she came out in 2020, that was, I guess, wasn't that when it was cool to be gay? So then she had to be gay, and then whatever. In 2025, it was announced she'd be a supporting act for Katy Perry on the Lifetimes tour. Wasn't Katy Perry gay for a while, and then now she's not gay, but then she's bi, or she's, well, there you go. Maybe it's a good way to get work in Hollywood. As, well, I can't think of the name of his character. It was Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder, where he played the black guy, which was amazing. They'd call it blackface now because people are too stupid to recognize actual talent. But he was incredible. He should have won an Academy Award for his performance. He was playing an Australian guy with blue eyes, playing a black guy in a movie that was being filmed, and they sort of Vietnamish or whatever. And he's one of those actors that was what is it called? Method acting, where you get into the part and you stay in the part. So when they were lost in the jungle and he stayed pretending to be the black person. But there at one point they were talking with another guy who was a black guy who was actually turned out, I think he was gay. And it was so funny because he said, everybody gay one time or another in Hollywood. So it's no big deal. God, that was such a good performance. That was right about the time Hollywood was going woke, and that was not a woke movie. And then Hollywood went woke, and now they all suck, and they can't get any hits anymore, and they can't figure it out. Okay, anyway, welcome back to ChrisXradio. It is our Friday show on Thursday. We're wrapping up the week to turn things over tomorrow to the Amigos, where you'll get El Senador. That would be Paul Betancourt, the judge, and then a Strew with a View, Mr. Ben Strusan, Bat and Cleanup. I like to just refer to them as PB and J. It's Paul, Ben, and the judge. It's like a good PB and J sandwich on Friday afternoons from 4 to 6. So we kick off the weekend about 24 hours ahead of everyone else. Okay, so we talked in the last segment about the Nazi tattoo serial abuser Graham Plattner. He has suspended his campaign. Now, that is something that a lot of people do in politics because it means you're not quitting. I think it has something to do financial-wise. Maybe someone far financially superior to me, someone like Ben Strusan, can explain why you would just suspend your campaign. So he's suspending his campaign and saying he's turning it over to the Democrat machine, which now will have until the 27th to go and do this, some convention where they bring a bunch of delegates in and then they choose their candidate, kind of like what they did with Kamala Harris, right about the same time frame, about 3 months before the election. So the Democrats, who claim to be for democracy, absolutely hate democracy when they disagree with it. And they all, by the way, they all agreed with Graham Plattner until it became the fact that he was politically inexpedient. He was no longer a viable political candidate because every week there was a new thing coming out that showed what a terrible human being that he is. I mean, listen, I pretty much learned the moment I learned there's a guy with a Nazi tattoo on his chest, I went, this guy's probably a scumbag. I don't like to jump to conclusions. But more often than not, I'm right because I usually use evidence and facts to compile my information before I make a decision, something that is completely void in the Democrat Party. And in many cases in the Republican Party, too. People make up their mind and then go just search for evidence to back it up. And everybody made up their mind this guy was going to be their nominee, and then he won the primary, ignoring the fact that he had a Nazi tattoo on his chest. He likes to spank it in porta potties because he likes the smell, he said. This is all stuff that he admits. Has the Nazi tattoo on his chest, was on the Kick site, the pedo site, I guess, which it was a site not necessarily for pedos, but apparently a lot of pedos visited the site. And then he has a history of abusing, I guess, former women that he dated or women that he was dating or whatever. And then it came out that maybe he raped this woman. If he really didn't rape her, I don't necessarily know that he would have dropped out. But that being said, could be a hit job. But the Democrat Party had bailed on him. They realized, listen, he's not winning in the polls. He's not getting any traction. He's only getting more. He's getting worse. The more that comes out, the more terrible this guy truly is as a human being. And the party that, once again, attempts to destroy Republicans as being horrible human beings all the time have now downloaded and, we'll just say, nominated a candidate that is vastly worse than anyone on the Republican side, including something from 30, 40 years ago, David Duke. Remember that guy? He's a former member of the Ku Klux Klan. Was a racist. I don't know if he ever got nominated to anything. He was from Louisiana. He ran for something. And then and in those last 40 years, they've tried to tie every candidate on the Republican side to David Duke, including Donald Trump, who never met him, never endorsed him, never had anything to do with the guy, knows he's a complete weirdo. And then it turns out that David Duke has a whole lot more in common with the Democrat Party. So there you have it. So I don't know who it's going to be. I don't know who the Democrats are going to pick. I'm assuming it'll probably be a woman. I think Dana was mentioning that earlier. So, but just because they can't afford to pick another dude who turns into another Plattner or maybe even a Talafrico, and they've got to the 27th to appoint somebody else. So they'll appoint somebody, try to go Kamala Harris. I don't think it'll be Kamala Harris. But they'll try to do what Kamala did, where the moment Joe Biden imploded on that stage during that debate, that was it. They had to dump him, so they did. Shoved out old Sleepy Joe and then shoved in and tried to push her across the finish line before she spoke to anyone. It didn't work out. She got smoked in the primary. She got smoked in the general. There was no primary. She got smoked in the popular vote, the Electoral College, and the Democrats were on, we got to get rid of that Electoral College. It's not democracy. It's old racism. Anything the Democrats deal with is racism, except for the actual racist candidate dirtbags like Graham Plattner, who also made disparaging statements about black people. Speaking of a black person, Jasmine Crockett, who lost to James Talafrico, is now saying that racism, not politics, was the deciding factor in why she lost to James Talafrico. We'll talk about that when we come back. It is our Friday show on Thursday. What do you guys want to talk about? 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-5738. We'll be right back. Don't you go anywhere. It is our Friday show on Thursday.
Radio. ChrisXradio. The voice of Texas.
Plumbing emergencies never happen at a convenient time. Nick's Plumbing offers free estimates and free second opinions. Call Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services, 713-868-9907, or visit us on the web, nicksplumbing.com.
MPL 38548.
When it comes to garage doors, no one knows more than the doctor. Garage Door Doctor.
I started my first business at 12 years old, mowing lawns for about $5 a yard. I thought I was crushing it until my buddy down the street undercut me by $2. But he didn't just cut the price. He cut corners too. That's when I learned if you do the job right, people trust you, and integrity beats profit. People care more about how you show up and whether you do what you say you're going to do. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello, owner of Garage Door Doctor. From garage door repairs to upgrades, we show up, we crush it, and we stand behind every job. We only use the best parts, and the spring's guaranteed to last a lifetime. Because when you care about the people you serve, you work harder, and it shows. From repairs to upgrades, call Garage Door Doctor today or schedule online at garagedoor.com. GarageDoorDoctor.biz. And yeah, we still beat the other guy.
When it comes to garage doors, no one knows more than the doctor. Garage Door Doctor.
The open enrollment period for medical plans is right around the corner, so get some facts and your options. In response to COVID-19, rates are expected to rise as high as 40% in some states. Are you already paying exorbitant Obamacare or COBRA rates? Are you paying ridiculous rates for your family on your work group plan? Are you going without insurance because you can't find anything reasonable? Your search is over. Listen to your pal Chris Salcedo. How does a zero-deductible, no-copay nationwide PPO plan sound? And you can get it at half the cost, keeping your hard-earned money where it belongs, in your pocket. American Medical Plans will tailor a plan that best fits you as well as your budget. American Medical Plans are local guys. Their goal is to give you peace of mind and the utmost in healthcare. Call American Medical Plans today to see if you qualify and start saving 30 to 60% now. Call 833-500-PLAN. That's 833-500-7526, or go to AmericanMedicalPlans.com. That's AmericanMedicalPlans.com. It's a quality plan chosen and managed by you, not the government.
Hi, this is Michael Miller. Join me this weekend for the Backyard Bay radio program, now at our new time, Saturday mornings at 9 a.m., right here on AM 700 KSEV The Voice.
From the KSEV Weather Center, tonight expect partly cloudy skies with high humidity and a low temperature of 77. Tomorrow, anticipate a mix of clouds and sunshine along with the possibility of a thunderstorm in some areas. The humidity continues, so watch out for ponding on roadways. Temperatures will reach a high of 91. Tomorrow night will bring mostly cloudy conditions and high humidity with a low of 77. Looking ahead to Saturday, expect mostly cloudy skies and humid weather with a chance of a thunderstorm in the afternoon. The high temperature will be 92 with the KSEV Weather Center forecast. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Jason Caterina.
The voice of Texas, the voice of reason. ChrisXradio. ChrisXradio.
Okay, it looks like some breaking news coming in regarding the shooting involved with the ICE agent and the victim. Greg Grugan over at Fox 26. An occasional guy probably will be on the Amigos tomorrow with this information going in. According to Representative Sylvia Garcia, a dirtbag Democrat here in the Houston area, Lorenzo Salgado was not the target of the operation of ICE, nor was his brother. One of the passengers in the van was the subject of the administrative warrant. There was no body cam video of the incident. Agents assigned to operation were not equipped, and passengers of the van are currently detained in Conroe and will now be transferred to another ICE facility. So Mr. Salgado, or Arua, whatever his name is, the illegal immigrant who was here for 35 years, basically made his own coffin. I hate to say that, but for some reason he determined he was not going to stop for federal officials, federal agents, and then, of course, they say he crashed into one of their vehicles and then tried to run over a federal agent, which in turn warranted a defensive shot that hit him in the side, and he died. And then the guy who was the subject of the warrant was taken into custody. So Mexico, I guess, is going to have to alter their lawsuit. Apparently, Claudia Sheinbaum in Mexico wants to just allow her citizens from her country to illegally come to our country, stay for 30, 40, 50 years, doesn't matter, and then to not have to follow any federal laws or immigration laws, or even when they're told to do things, ignore commands. You know, there is a way that she could prevent anything like this from ever happening again. How about keeping your people in your country from illegally entering ours, and then defending them when they commit more crimes other than the crime of being in our country illegally? Problem solved. No. Okay. Anyway, we'll get to Jasmine Crockett saying racism played a major role in her Democrat primary loss to James Talafrico. He's not getting any less freaky. All right, welcome back to ChrisX Radio. If you want to join us, it is our Friday show on Thursday. We'll talk about whatever is on your mind today. 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-5738. Let's go ahead and go to the phones, pick up with Joe, patiently holding in Sugarland. Joe, thanks for hanging on. Welcome to ChrisX Radio.
Hey, what's up, Chris?
Hey, Joe, how's it going?
Turn it up, Chris. Hey, good. So you don't sound like you're going to be very patient with me right now, so I'm going to hurry up and spit it out.
Okay, go ahead.
Don't you think? Okay, so Chris, I need you to go along with me for 1 second. Just answer the question, and then tell me what you think about it. Well, let's talk about it real quick. Don't blow it off, because that sounds kind of cliche, but I'm being dead serious. What do you think you would find as just using this one as an example? If you could actually go find the evidence and look into, what made just like Obama in Chicago, but what made Graham Plattner, the failed oyster farmer, decide he wants to run for politics all of a sudden and be what was he running for? Senator? Congressman? I forget. Is it senator?
Yeah, no, he's running for Senate in Maine. Yes.
All of a sudden he could just be a senator of a state, and what did he ever do to get there? Obviously, I think they went after him to put him there, and you and I know that they wanted someone. All their guys are kind of gay, and Tim Walz and whatever, and they want someone to kind of relate with men, and that they can fool other people into voting like they used to fool black people into voting for them, and a lot of minorities, and that's not working as well because those people aren't stupid, contrary to Democrats' opinions of all of us, including minorities, and maybe they think they're even dumber, that they can just make all of us their slaves and cattle and have a centralized government and whatever. We know those things, but literally, think about it. Do you think Graham Plattner himself was you know what? I think I'll be senator. Or did someone come and find him? And if that's the case, why don't we look at that? That's what we need to be talking about. Just like when I see really great, smart pundits on TV talking on and on and on about something after the fact about COVID or whatever, I'm like, wait a minute. Shouldn't we still just be talking about whether or not they, the evidence of whether or not they actually did it to kill us on purpose, and what are we going to do about that? Before we go on and talk about all the bull crap after the fact. The same thing with people like Plattner and probably Barack Obama and all kinds of people. We need to look more at what's actually going on under the scenes and more of the actual issues. Who's out finding this guy? Who found Graham Plattner and why? Do they think he would be a good tool for them because he doesn't have any morals? I mean,
Well, okay, first of all, you bring up a lot of really interesting points, and it's hard. You don't want to conflate it with the other issues because I know that they seem to be tied together, and maybe they are to a certain degree. But when it comes to Plattner, now this is a guy that served in the military, but he's one of these Democrat Socialists of America, which is what Bernie Sanders, who was obviously supporting him until the very end, that they go and they find. And my guess is Graham sort of worked his way into politics, hoping to be able to hide this past. Now, if you want to go the conspiratorial route, which is possible, then the Democrat Party found this guy and said, this guy's got so many skeletons in his closet, we will be able to control him to do exactly what we want, which means he will stay on board, he'll do whatever.
Yeah, but I'm not just saying that because he got so many skeletons and control him. I mean, obviously that's a logical, that's a mechanical fact of life. You have a bunch of skeletons, you're more easily controlled. All I mean is that they wanted someone that will do whatever they want, a vessel, just like Biden. So Kamala Harris, a vessel. They can be a vessel of evil. They can be a vessel of good at times. Whatever you tell them to do, they're going to do it. They don't have any thoughts of their own. They don't care. They're not really a Democrat socialist. They're not really a patriot. They're just a piece of crap that'll do whatever, because they have no morals. And who's going and finding these people? And what are their motives?
Hold on. I don't think they're going and finding anyone. You got to understand, this guy was involved in grassroots organizing. He was part of the Acadia Action Activist Group. He's been involved in this sort of stuff for a little while and been around. And those people like him are so egregious and so just blatantly obvious that they'll go in and for some reason, you get enough people telling them what they want to hear. They all of a sudden think they're bulletproof, especially guys like him. And then they get in and people will get around it.
But I think when it comes to a senator position, I mean, for being realistic here, he's been in it for a little while. He's probably been in it for a little while because people probably told him, hey, let's do this grassroots crap for a little while, like Barack Obama. Let's do this crap for a little while, and we'll make you a senator. let's do this crap for a little while. Just go out there, shake hands, try to quit raping people, try to quit masturbating in portalettes, and hold kiss babies and shake hands, and then just do that for a while. And we know that you're evil. You'll do whatever we say, and we'll get you into Senate like they do other people. I mean,
well, once again,
I think if you look, you'll find some of that. That's all I'm saying.
If you've seen the man talk, he's articulate. He is a master manipulator. This is a guy who can go and manipulate people into believing things that don't exist. And those kind of guys.
Psychotic liar. That's what they always say.
You're 100% correct. He is a sociopath. He is a weirdo.
Yeah.
But they're ultimately. They're far too sure of themselves, and you get around these other people, which tends to be the Democrat.
Like the fake Republicans.
Well, exactly. These people, especially these Democrats, they'll believe in anyone or anything. Look at the people they rally around, George Floyd and people like this. They will rally around anyone, and if someone looks remotely the part, they'll start raising money for you. So I think that has a lot to do with why this guy got where he was. But then what happened is these idiots got dug in, and the more the Nazi tattoo, and then the sexual abuse, and then the porta potty, and then it goes on and on and on. They literally forgave everything until he started dropping in the polls, and it showed that he had no path to victory over Susan Collins.
Yeah.
Now he's got to go. Now the next thing he's done, and I think that has a lot to do with it, Joe.
I think they could also just finish compromising Susan Collins too. I mean, that shouldn't be that hard. But anyway.
Well, she's very, very. Thanks for the call, Joe. Always good to hear from you, and I want to make sure I give you plenty of time. I know sometimes I'm a little short with you, but no, like I said, I always appreciate your calls, and we look at things a little differently. I'm not quite as conspiratorial. I've been around enough people that I watch what happens in these political circles, and basically politics is rock and roll for old people. And guys like Graham Plattner, this guy's just a dirtbag, and he gets in. Well, Democrats are suckers. They're constantly looking for the next dirtbag. So there is no level of dirtbaggery in which they won't support until they become politically inexpedient. And then when they can't win politically, then the Democrats will bail on them. But until that point, they'll dig in. And that's what happened with Plattner. They thought this guy, he represents men. He's a tough guy, served in the military, and they will only focus on what they want and then pretend to ignore all of the other, the skeletons in his closet until they become insurmountable. They became insurmountable. So now it's time to replace them. The other thing is, too, remember, these Democrats, they're not about democracy. It's never about democracy. It's never been about democracy. They're manipulators, as you said. They're looking for the next legacy of slaves and serfs. That's why they're willing to import an entirely new slave trade into our country for slave wages and allow them to get in and vote because we want that slave trade. We need the new slaves. Black people can't be slaves anymore, so we need new slaves. It's a bizarre thing, but it's where we are. The difference between the two parties couldn't be a starker contrast than it has ever been. But that being said, doesn't mean that the Republicans are perfect. They're anything but. But on their worst day, they're better than the Graham Plattners, the James Talafricos. We'll talk about James on the other side. Thanks for the call, Joe. 281-558-KSEV. It is our Friday show on Thursday. We'll be right back.
ChrisXradio.
Tune in to the Ray Massey Reverse Mortgage Show each Friday at 1 p.m. and Saturdays at 3 p.m. with Treybo Mortgage. Or call Ray directly at 855-266-1600 or online at reversemortgages4texans.com.
Hey Houston, it's Dana Lash from The Dana Show. Join me weekday afternoons 2 to 4 p.m. on The Voice of Texas. I'm of the mindset that when you screw up, you get slapped hard enough to make you scared to screw up again. That's how peace is achieved. Ta-da! Thank heavens we're a country that has the best principles of any nation on this rock. Oh, that's true. That's not an opinion. You are listening to the home of The Dana Show, AM 700 KSEV and AM 1540 KGBC, The Voice of Texas.
This is Nolan Ryan for American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Keep cool and strike out high energy bills with the most reliable home comfort system on the market. Go with American Standard Air. It's built with Texas families in mind. No more muggy days and sticky nights. Facing hot Texas summers is easy with American Standard. Take my word for it. Comfort the way you like it. AmericanStandardAir.com.
Hi, this is Louis Flory. You've been relying on Ability Tree Experts for decades to protect and maintain the valuable trees on your property. You can continue to rely on the same professional services. So call Ability Tree Experts at 281-441-4179 today.
You know, where we go in life matters, and what we do matters, and we know that taking the wrong road won't produce the best outcomes. Hi, I'm Kathy with Baker Mortgage, and we want you to take the right path when it comes to your mortgage. You know, we live in a world of information overload, but always consider the source. And these are not generally going to be from your big bank or a random offer that comes across your screen. Remember, you're always going to get a better deal on one that you go looking for than one that comes looking for you. You need to deal with somebody who gives a you-know-what, whether or not you're happy in the end. At Baker Mortgage, we do it right. We haven't been around for 68 years because we're lucky. We don't sell CDs, insurance, or anything else. We just provide a great mortgage experience. Isn't that what you're looking for? Call us at Baker Mortgage. I promise you'll be glad you did. We're at 281-313-MOVE or go directly to bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License number 263213.
Hey, it's Joe Pags. The president says the MOU, the ceasefire, is over with Iran. We'll have Victoria Coates on to explain what that means next. And can we take that country out if we wanted to? That plus the latest in the Charlie Kirk pretrial on the Joe Pags Show. Tonight at 7 on KSEV and KGBC. Still the voice of Texas.
Finding a reputable business shouldn't require luck or chance. But how can you tell who you can trust? Always look for the sign of a better business and find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
ChrisXradio.
Boy, I did not realize that the Trump Force One was the first aircraft to land at the newly named President Donald J. Trump International Airport. I have a buddy who's a pilot. I'll just say that. Sent me an interesting thing earlier that much liberal heads just melt down over. Welcome back to Chris X Radio. You reach the final segment of the first hour of our Friday show on Thursday. Don't you go anywhere. We got hour number 2. We'll rock and roll it up until 6 p.m., and then we'll turn it over to Mr. Craig Collins, who, man, poor guy, did Chris Salcedo's show in the morning. And then now he's back from 7 to 9, and then now at 6 p.m. I filled in for Chris before in the past. Now I got to where I don't really do it anymore. One, it's too hard. When you do an afternoon show, man, doing that, well, unless you're a superhuman like Craig Collins, then that's different. But, man, for me, I would do the show in the morning. You do a couple hours in the morning and then go back and try to prepare, and then you almost it's like, doing 2 shows in a day. It's exhausting for someone like me. So I was toast. By the time I did my show sucked. So I was like, I can't really do that very often. And so anyway, but I'm glad Craig was filling in. We had Wayne Dolcefino was filling in earlier this week. I don't know when Salcedo returns from vacation. Is it next week? Maybe. I'm not sure. But the Craig Collins program comes up at 6 p.m., so he'll be doing 6 to 7 p.m. this evening while I'm stuffing my face with possibly a cheeseburger or something along those lines. I'll be listening to Craig, and then he'll be back in the morning from 9 to 11. Man, that's a rough gig right there. My Lord. Wayne D does a good job when he fills in for Chris, too. I like Wayne D. I get him as a guest on the program pretty regularly. I try not to do it when he's filling in for Chris Salcedo. But he's one of those old school reporters back when they actually did investigative reporting. He's won like 27 Emmys. I mean, the dude he's clearly too good for lamestream media these days. And if you've ever listened to him fill in or on the programs, he holds no political boundaries. He goes after everybody. Wherever he sees dirtbaggery, he goes after it. So anyway, but we'll wrap up this first hour, and then we got a whole nother hour coming back at you. If you want to join us, 281-558-KSEV here on our Friday show on Thursday, 281-558-5738. And I want to thank Joe for the call in the last segment. And to touch off, basically, Joe he was alluding to the fact, I guess, that why would the Democrats, why are they searching for people like this? Hold on. They're not searching for people like Graham Plattner. Guys like Graham Plattner come running, and you're technically supposed to filter those people out of your system. Democrats are terrible at that. That's why they rally around dirtbags like Eric Swalwell, Adam Schiff for brains. These horrible human beings. Ted Kennedy was a horrible human being. Graham Plattner was not that far off from those kind of people. When you look at it from that perspective, all they look at is power. That is all they want. And if this guy speaks well in front of an audience, he's very sure of himself, he's very confident, all of those low testosterone Democrats lose their mind and fall in love with the candidate immediately. And then try to ignore every terrible thing that comes out until he becomes politically inexpedient. All right, 281-558-KSEV if you want to join us. And once again, we're seeing something on the opposite end of the spectrum here in Texas with James Talafrico. And then now you've got Jasmine Crockett, the black female who ran against him. She argues that racism, not politics, was the deciding factor in her Democrat primary loss to Talafrico. She is saying out loud that Democrats are racists. This is what I've been telling you for a very long time. They're the racists that run around blaming everyone else as racism. Everything is racism. Everybody racist except them. When they're the biggest racist out there. They were before, they are now. They've simply changed their target. They want a new slave base. They can't have black slaves anymore. Republicans took them away from them. Abraham Lincoln and Republicans, so they voted against civil rights. They've done everything they can to try to con black people into voting for them. It's been pretty effective, but now they've got a new target. Hispanics. They thought they can steal the Hispanic vote forever by simply allowing unfettered illegal immigration into our country, and it's starting to blow up in their faces. Anyway, let's go to the phones before we run out of time. 281-558-KSEV. Let's go to Jimmy X. Jimmy, thanks for hanging on. Welcome to Chris X Radio.
Well, I'll try to be brief in the 3 minutes I have here, but in the military, we used to often talk about why the French were so weak, why the French their military was so depleted. And it was because for thousands of years, they were just getting their butts kicked so many times that their whole warrior class was basically eliminated. And what was left, what was a bunch of Frenchmen, girly men, as Arnold Schwarzenegger used to say. We're seeing the same thing in the Marxist Democratic Party. They've run off all the hard, traditional males, and so they are out there trying to connect, because that's what their focus groups say. You don't connect the white, straight, heterosexual, strong men, so you have to go find candidates. But all they have is the James Talaricos and Timmy Walls and now Graham Plattner. They have a bunch of freaks because they've all gone. They've all left the party.
Yeah, boy, Jimmy, first of all, you're absolutely right. Most straight white males have moved on to the Republican Party or the Libertarian Party, anything other than Democrats, because of exactly what you said. They're filled with guys like James Talafrico, or on the other end of the spectrum, the literal poster boy for toxic masculinity, Graham Plattner. So you're absolutely right. So they're constantly looking. They can't tell you what a woman is. They can't define it. Apparently, they can't define what a man is either, because in their mind, it's either James Talafrico or Graham Plattner. There doesn't seem to be an in-between for them, and they're lost as a party.
And let's be clear. They were willing to accept a Nazi. They were willing to accept someone who claims to have masturbated in porta potties. They were willing to accept all of the other sexual freak stuff that he bragged about, but the only thing they wouldn't accept was if he allegedly touched a woman without her consent. That's it. That's how they draw the line.
Well, that's what they're trying to convince everyone. But as you know, with everything, with the Democrats, it's all subterfuge. What it boiled down to was he was down in the polls, and they realized his path to victory over Susan Collins was turning into virtually nothing. Literally nothing. And thanks for the call, Jimmy. We're going to take a break. No, absolutely. They realized he was going to lose. Now that he's going to lose, okay, we have an opportunity now, so we can replace this guy? and then we don't have to go through another primary process. We can just replace them with the guy that we want. That gives us a much better opportunity. That's how they roll. The Democrats don't care anything about democracy. All they care about is power. And they make it clear every second of the day. When Chuck Schumer was asked why he was endorsing Mr. Plattner, we got to defeat Susan Collins. He said it over and over and over again. They're dirtbags, man. All right, hour number 2 is up next. We'll be right back. Thanks for the call, Jimmy.
You're listening to the Voice of Texas, AM 700 KSEV Tomball and AM 1540 KGBC Galveston.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Several Maine Democrats are jockeying to replace Graham Plattner as the nominee to take on Republican Senator Susan Collins in November. Correspondent Laura Winters reports.
A lot of uncertainty in both Democrat and Republican circles in Maine as Democrats look to replace Graham Plattner on the ticket now that he's dropped out, and Republicans are left to wonder who Susan Collins will be running against and what their new strategy will be. Collins is trying to win a 6th term in the Senate in a state that voted for Kamala Harris back in 2024. Democrats have until July 27th to declare a new candidate. Laura Winters reporting.
There's more fighting in the Middle East as the U.S. and Iran intensify their conflict.
U.S. President Donald Trump had threatened to begin targeting infrastructure in Iran over its continued attacks on ships trying to go through the Strait of Hormuz through a route around Oman to the south. Missile alert sirens went off in Bahrain, Kuwait, and Qatar this morning as Iran retaliated. There's no word on if there's any damage in those Gulf countries, but it just shows how everything is escalating, and this interim deal to try to end the war now looks increasingly at risk.
Correspondent John Gambrell reporting. The defendant in Charlie Kirk's killing told his roommate he wishes he hadn't done it the day after the conservative activist was shot in the neck while speaking to a crowd at Utah Valley University, according to a recording played in court Thursday. Lance Twiggs, who is also suspect Tyler Robinson's romantic partner, described the interaction with Robinson at their apartment in an interview with law enforcement that was aired by prosecutors. On Wall Street, the Dow by 139 points, the S&P 500 advanced 60. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
When I was feeling the stress of too much credit card debt, I looked at 2 different options: debt settlement and debt management. They may sound the same, but guess what? They're not. Debt settlement seemed like a quick fix, but I found out it would destroy my credit, create tax headaches, and hit me with huge fees. They actually told me to stop paying my bills. No way, not me. Then I turned to a debt management plan developed by the team at Trinity. They worked with my creditors, lowered my payments, reduced my interest, saved me thousands, and paid off my debt. And Trinity is a Christian company, which is important to me.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
What if you could invest in real estate for pennies on the dollar? Find out how this Saturday at 2 p.m. on the CheckaPro Radio Show, when tax lien certificate expert Ted Thomas reveals one of America's best-kept investment secrets. Tune in this Saturday at 2 p.m.
This True Sand commentary is brought to you by Ability Tree Experts. Ability Tree Experts, Houston's leading tree care professionals. Call 281-441-4179.
From KSEV, here's political contributor Ben Strusand.
Military planners always assumed that if a war with Iran began, the Iranians would attempt to take the Persian Gulf hostage and close the Straits of Hormuz. What nobody expected was that the Iranians would be allowed to export while America's allies, the Saudis, Kuwaitis, the UAE, and occasionally Qatar, would be blocked. A sort of mutually assured destruction was expected to provide enough leverage on Iran to keep the straits open. Yet, for a brief period, they were allowed to export their own crude and charge a ransom to anyone else wanting to do the same. That is, until the U.S. Navy stepped in with a blockade of its own on all Iranian exports, including crude oil. In just a few weeks, Iranian storage will max out, leaving Iranian oil producers with no other choices but to shut in oil wells permanently, damaging their ability to fund their economy, pay their military, and bankroll their terrorist proxies. The cutoff would be close to 100%, a huge blow if continued. Which is why, even though Democrats in Congress attempted to hand the Iranians a victory by pulling funding from our military, the United States will successfully force the Iranians to yield and concede to open the straits and end their nuclear weapons program, one way or another. Despite the media fawning over the brilliance of Iranian strategy, the Iranians will lose. Despite his political opponents rooting for U.S. strategy to fail, President Trump has bent the arc of history and dealt a homicidal regime a blow it will take decades to recover. The American people have not supported this war, and high gas prices will harm Republican chances in November. But the prospects of a deal on America's terms should result in us doing a lot better than most people think. I'm Ben Strusand, and that's my view.
Ben Strusand. Only on AM 700 KSEV.
Thank goodness our weather experts are providing us with hurricane tracking charts and reminding us to be prepared for big storms. But they overlook one very important thing, the damage and destruction from broken limbs and uprooted trees. Call Louis Flory at Ability Tree Experts today, my friend for nearly 40 years, at 281-441-4179, and let him explain how this problem can be minimized with professional pruning. You see, when the tree canopy is too thick and dense, the tree can be completely blown over and tree limbs broken, causing terrible damage to the tree and maybe your home. Where tree limbs break, sap will ooze, and that attracts harmful insects. So you need to call Louis Flory today at 281-441-4179 and have his experts come out and professionally prune your trees to withstand sudden storms that are so frequent this time of year. Visit their website at abilitytrees.com. That's 281-441-4179. Ability Tree Experts, Houston's leading tree care professional.
Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's ChrisX Radio.
What we need right now is a clear message to the people of this country. This message must be read in every newspaper, heard on every radio, seen on every television. This message must resound throughout the entire intellect.
And now, your host.
I believe this is going to be our finest hour.
ChrisX.
Another reason why I hate criminals. Mighty Burger, you ever heard of them? MYTIBURGER. It's over, look it up, what is it, West 43rd, Houston on the northwest side over there near 290. They've been around for a long time, I think since 1967. Get good burgers, I've been there a few times. Somebody tried to break in last night. They have family members that are in the hospital, so they had an attempted break-in. Was it last night? So they didn't gain entry. They just smashed out 3 windows and were scared off by the alarm. But it makes it so hard to stay into business because dirtbags trying to break into your business. So I saw that was posted on social media. So I guess they've got things put up there. They're going to have to replace the windows, which costs a lot of money. Saw Joe Dana for Harris County Sheriff posted pure garbage. I think he was supposed to put pure garbage, which I agree with that sentiment, but he spelled it garbage. Joe needs a spell check. Anyway, good evening. Welcome to the second hour of ChrisX Radio. I hate to see that. That always frustrates me when you see these businesses. I'm pretty sure they don't have a lot of room for overhead over at Mighty Burger. Just trying to stay in business in this day and age is hard enough, thanks to the Bidenomics. We have not been able to lower prices quite enough. Prices go up, they very seldom go down. It is very difficult, and when the prices raised like they did, it makes it that much harder just to get the prices down. So it's very difficult. A lot of restaurants have gone out of business. And it frustrates me. I like to go out to eat dinner pretty much every night. Generally, it's just me. Don't cook for one. So I want to go eat somewhere. And like I said, places like Mighty Burger I really enjoy. I'm always talking about, the burger shops. And I was talking to that one. Was it a Friday show on Thursday, a few Fridays back or Thursdays back? And was naming off, what was it? Is it King Burger, I think, or whatever because there's the President Burger, which used to be Trump Burger in Belleville. So that's still there, but now it's President Burger. But then there's another place that apparently has better burger. It was like King Barbecue or something. I can't remember. But anyway, so at some point I want to go try that. That's a little bit of a drive for me to go there. Anyway, glad to have you here back on our Friday show on Thursday. We'll talk about whatever is on your mind, and I got plenty to cover. 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-5738. Bonnie Tyler has passed away at age 75. She's saying total eclipse of the heart. Nothing I can say, total eclipse of the heart. Now, when I sing it as a man, you can probably hear what I was talking about in the first hour. The song was actually written for Meatloaf. No, not they didn't get paid in Meatloaf. The band Meatloaf, which featured the singer who went by the term Meatloaf. I can't remember what his real name is. Someone could probably look it up for me and let me know. But that guy was extremely talented. He was actually a talented actor as well. Showed up in movies, an iconic role in Fight Club. Yesterday I was talking, speaking of iconic actors, yesterday I was talking with my girlfriend about talented people. A guy, he's now 80 years old, which shocked me, Tim Curry, who probably has a lot in common with James Talafrico. I think because Talafrico's so heterosexual. I was thinking, you guys know when Talafrico was in high school, he was in the theater arts. He performed and did that. I think there is a tailor-made role for him in a Rocky Horror Picture Show production. He could totally play Dr. Frankenfurter. He's got that deep baritone voice, gets to dress up in drag, say something that he's probably always wanted to say, but he could at least hide under instead of having a beard. For his campaign, I'm looking for a man with blonde hair and a tan. I'm just a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania. Should we pull that song and make that his theme song? Anyway, Tim Curry played that part. He did it. He created it. He did it off Broadway in the play or whatever it was, and then did it in the movie and was amazing. Whatever, trans character, whatever. His character was so funny, but he's got that baritone voice. Was an amazing singer. He was talented. He also sang with few groups, rock bands and others, and played various parts. He was an extremely talented actor. And then he had a stroke a few years back, which left him paralyzed. He lost the use of his legs, but apparently he's still, I don't know about right now, but up until recently, he was still very, articulate and could speak and did a lot of things, the speaking circuit and things like that. Talented actor. I'm pretty sure I've got nothing in common with the guy, politics-wise. I'm sure James Talafrico would probably have a lot more in common, but the guy was never wanted to be a traditional leading man. He also played one of the most iconic characters for those of us 80s kids, Legend, which featured Tom Cruise and Mia Sara, who was incredibly hot in the 80s. That was Sloane Peterson. From those fans of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, a highly inspirational film of my youth. Ferris, say Ferris. But Mia Sara was Sloane Peterson, his girlfriend. And don't forget, Cameron Fry, I think was his name. And did that, him calling in as, this is Sergeant Peterson. And then Sloane was just so gorgeous. But she also starred in, she didn't do very many movies. She was in Legend, which featured, Tom Cruise was the star. But Tim Curry played Satan or a devil or a demon, or I can't remember. It's been probably 40 years since I've seen the movie. but he looked incredible. They gave him that suit or whatever, but with his voice and his penchant for, the dramatics, he was great in it. And anyway, I just looked it up and saw that he was freaking 80 years old. I remember in the 70s, and I guess in the 80s, being a kid, I was really too young, so I didn't go until much later. But everybody would go see the Rocky Horror Picture Show. They would go see it at one of these little local theaters, and they'd go see it at midnight. That was basically the only time it played. And if I remember correctly, it was rated R, so you couldn't really get in unless you were 17, I guess. Unless you went with a parent, and that's a movie my parents weren't ever going to go see. But I remember finally going and seeing it later, and everybody doing the callbacks to the screen and throwing things up against the screen, and it was an experience. It also featured a very young Susan Sarandon, and there's others which I can't remember off the top of my head. I'd have to look them up. But I think it's just so we've got perfect. We can bring back the Rocky Horror Picture Show. We can get James Talafrico, who's got a history of starring in stage and probably would love to be in film. He's running in politics now. And he could play Dr. Frankenfurter. I don't know, is Sweet Transvestite, is that copyrighted music? Can I play that on the show without getting a strike from Meta? By the way, the song, the Time Warp, I love that song. That's a good one from the movie. Let's do the time warp again. I remember going to dances in high school and they'd play that. And we loved it as kids because we're a bunch of dumb kids. Anyway, which brings me to my next point. I just really wanted to, I think it is a tailor-made role for James Talarico. Absolutely, him playing Dr. Frankenfurter, because I think he could really identify with the character. Because he's looking for a man with blonde hair and a tan. Jasmine Crockett has said racism played a major role in her Democrat primary loss to James Talarico. Oh, by the way, I should give the phone number. This is our Friday show on Thursday, if you haven't figured that out. So if you want to join us, I'll give the phone number. I don't know if you want to follow that. 281-558-KSEV. 281-558-5738. We'll take calls with whoever, even if you're a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania. I can't do it nearly as well as Tim Curry did. Am I being saved by the music? Is that what's happening? Being saved by a commercial break? All right, at some point I'll get to talk about how Jasmine Crockett said racism is why she lost to James Talafrico. Now, this music is far more up my alley. Little Van Halen, Dancing the Night Away. Of course, any Van Halen for that matter. So are Democrats a bunch of racist dirtbags, and that's why they voted for Talafrico? I don't know. 281-558-KSEV. You're listening to Chris X Radio. We'll be right back. Don't you go anywhere.
Chris X Radio. Chris X Radio on the Voice of Texas.
Hey, let me ask you a quick question. How many times have you switched your health insurance in the last few years? How many times have you wanted to switch your health insurance the last few years? If you're in good health and pay your own insurance, you don't have to settle for scary high deductibles or unaffordable premiums. Let American Medical Plans find the right plan for you at a price you can afford. Call 833-500-PLAN. No, this is not some ridiculous Obamacare plan with no doctors and a limited HMO. And it's not some rinky-dink insurance company that doesn't cover a single claim. No, this is real coverage for you and your family. Go to the doctors and hospitals you choose. Stop shopping around hunting for the best deal. American Medical Plans will do the hunting for you. Get you a better plan at a better price. You owe it to yourself to see what they can do for you. Get it done before the rates go up. Call American Medical Plans, 833-500-PLAN. That's 833-500-7526. Or go to AmericanMedicalPlans.com. American Medical Plans. Quality plans managed by you, not the government.
Hi, I'm Tommy Mello with Garage Door Doctors. My mom recently moved into a new home with a builder-grade garage door. Noisy, flimsy, and not built to last, so we're fixing that. Mom, you're my hero. When I was growing up, she worked 3 jobs just to save our house.
And helped you build this company.
Now I'm giving her a beautiful new garage door that's built to last. The garage is 40% of your home's curb appeal. When it looks good and it works great.
Life is good. Thanks, Tommy.
From repairs to upgrades, call Garage Door Doctor today.
The Chris Salcedo Show.
You are not that qualified to do what you do.
So you think I'm not qualified to do what I do? What do you base that on? Is it because I'm a Latino? Is it because I'm a conservative? What are your qualifications?
Well, I attended Juilliard. I'm a graduate of Harvard Business School. I travel quite extensively. I lived through the Black Plague, and I had a pretty good time during that. Now, what do you think?
Chris Salcedo, the most qualified talk show host in America.
The voice of Texas.
Hi, this is Michael Miller. Join me this weekend for the Backyard Bay radio program presented by Miller Pools and Texan Pools, now at our new time every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. And what we do here on the Backyard Bay radio program is talk about your backyard. And this time of year, wow, it's so hard not to just spend all your time out in the Backyard Bay. And I know sometimes you have questions. That's why we do the Backyard Bay radio program, to get you good, solid answers to any kind of questions that you may have concerning your swimming pools, or I'm looking to build a new swimming pool. Just have a backyard party. Join me this weekend for the Backyard Bay radio program, now at our new time, every Saturday morning at 9 a.m., right here on The Voice.
You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him. ChrisXradio.
This makes me want to go see Rush, but it's not the same. I saw him like 5 times with Neil, so it wouldn't be the same with Anakin. I know it's not, but they saw a video or a little clip of Geddy Lee. He's feeling a lot better, and I think their shows, they come back to the 11th, so not tomorrow, but the next day in Dallas-Fort Worth. So unfortunately, a bunch of people who went down for the previous shows that were canceled, they're going to have a tough time, I guess, going back up for those, or not at all. So a lot of them are selling their tickets online. That makes it kind of tough. Anyway, welcome back to Chris X Radio. I'm the aforementioned X-Man. Glad to have you here with us on our Friday show on Thursday. We'll talk about whatever is on your mind today. 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-5738. Let's go out to the phones. Tell you what, let's go out to Missouri City first, pick up with Paul, who's been patiently holding. Paul, thank you for hanging on. Welcome to Chris X Radio.
Hey, Chris. I wanted to talk about Tyler Rico's latest campaign finance report for the second quarter. A whole whopping $30 million. And then 97% of that was contributions of $100 or less. Now, your first reaction is, man, he's got a wide range of support, right? But now think about it.
That's what they want us to believe, for sure.
97% of it was $100 or less. That's $29,100,000 in contributions of $100 or less. At $100, that's 291,000 individual people sending $100. How many of those contributions weren't 100? They were 5 or 10. You're up to 500, 600,000 people contributing to him in the quarter in the state of Texas race. I might believe that number if it was a national campaign, but for the state of Texas, statewide race, my believability meter is flashing yellow here. I just can't get over that hurdle.
Well, I'm kind of with you on that because, for one, the Democrats said it's one of the things they're very good at, cheating with money, and extremely good at that. So if you're saying you don't necessarily believe what they're telling us, I wouldn't believe it either. I would want to go see who those checks are coming from and where they're coming from, and I bet you'll find that a lot of them are coming from well, we'll just say people with a whole lot more money than $100, and they're doing these little games that they play, and that's on a regular basis. I would agree on a national race that would make more sense. But I saw that Ken Paxton had raised like $9 million. Are they going through and doing the same thing with his? I know there are laws to follow, but then again, I remember Barack Obama got, I can't remember how many hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars from Palestine, and then they returned it promptly after he won the election. So Democrats have a history of taking illegal campaign donations and then going back and correcting it sometimes.
Yeah, well, that reminds me of a quote one of my favorite talk hosts uses. It's the lying liars who lie.
They are definitely the lying liars who lie. Oh, thank you for the call, Paul. They're the lying liars who lie, and they're going to keep on lying, and they're not going to stop. Why? Because it's politically expedient for them to lie. That being said, it doesn't surprise me that Democrats are motivated. They understand if they got to dump in as much money as possible so they can pour $100 and $150 million into Talafrico's campaign and try to make him look like a moderate, regular Texan because he's anything but. He's a big fan of transsexual Transylvanians. That's what he's looking for. He said we have some of the best drag queens in the country here in Texas, and we can't stop. We want them performing on public property with public funds. The guy has nothing in common with normal average Texans, but they're going to spend a whole lot of money, and the Democrat Party knows it, and they're going to go through every nook and cranny, if you will, to come up with as much money as they possibly can to try to steal this seat. Oh, the lamestream media, the propaganda apparatus in the Democrat force is all 100% in going after Ken Paxton. He's on vacation with his mistress. She's not his mistress anymore. He's divorced. But it's not official. I don't know. I haven't looked that closely. But they're going after him on that. And then now they're saying, he's hit the pinnacle of his attorney general, it was campaign finance, or I'm sorry, voter fraud. But he has voted illegally in the last couple elections because he didn't even live at his property. He didn't even live at the house he was. They're in full force. So they're going to do everything to convince you that Ken Paxton is an evil monster who is horrible. He was horrible to his wife. He's horrible to everyone. He's a liar, and he's a criminal. Not like that guy, James Tallarico, who goes to church just like you and me. He's just like us, man. He loves God. He loves Christianity. He's just like us, okay?
I always think of myself as a Christian who hates Christianity.
Yeah, they don't want that being played. Nope, they don't want you to know anything about him. Just believe them when they tell you he's a normal Texan, just like you and me, when he's not fanboying over trans podcast hosts. 281-558-KSEV. If you want to join us, let's go to Stephen listening in Tomball. Stephen, thank you for hanging on. Welcome to ChrisX Radio.
Hey, Chris, thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to cover a couple of things. I was reading today that the Travis County District Attorney, something Garza, the guy was shot at an officer, a sergeant, and then he robbed somebody a couple of days later, and these idiots gave that kid, a 17-year-old, 5 years probation and bond and got out. And then also, the other day when that ICE agent got to go home safe because somebody tried to run him over and kill him, and he went home and got to see his family. You know how quickly they got on the TV? These guys were able to print these banners and so fast and real nice and pretty signs and everything, like quick. And my third point is the best place for Falfrico, whatever you want to call him, is hell. He'll get his day. We don't judge, but he is more welcome in hell, I'm sure of it. So, hey, have a great day and the rest of the day, and enjoy the show. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Stephen. I appreciate it. Yeah, you're talking about Jose Garza. He's the Travis County District Attorney. Yeah, he fits right in with like Sean Tier here in Harris County. Once again, they're just weirdos. They're soft on crime. They keep letting these people out till eventually they kill somebody, because eventually that's what's going to happen. This kid they let go will eventually kill somebody. When you're shooting at people, committing crimes, robbing people, and you just keep letting them out, eventually the crime gets worse, and eventually they kill somebody, and they will get there. It's the sad part is it's not just an isolated case with Travis County. Travis County is just such a, like I said, it's so liberal over there. So, of course, they're very soft on crime. But then again, it's the same thing in Dallas County, same thing here in Harris County. We're run by leftist dirtbags. And when you're run by leftist dirtbags, you get leftist dirtbaggery. How many people have died at the hands of murderers that should have been locked up here in Harris County? I've interviewed Andy Kahn for a very long time. And last count was over 200 that I heard. And that was probably 3, 4, 5 years ago. I don't know what the number is now. Republicans on the state level have stepped in and tried to do something to clean it up a little bit, but the Democrats in these areas, well, combined with voter fraud, have gone through and continually elect these sort of dirtbags. It is very difficult to pry power away from these Marxist, socialist, communist dirtbags who love the criminals. They love them. That's why they let them go repeatedly, over and over and over again, because it does their bidding for them. It creates the havoc and chaos that they claim they're here there to save when they come in and only exacerbate it, make it worse. They're terrible. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it. All right, let's take a very short break, and then we'll come back, pick up. Oh, it looks like we got El Marco out there in Fulshire. All right, Marco, you hold on. We'll get to you on the other side of this break. It'll be a short break. 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-5738. It is our Friday show on Thursday. Oh, we got plenty to get into. I haven't even gotten to the story, the Charlie Kirk conspiracy theories all dying. All of these conspiracy theories are all just imploding now that just a tiny bit of evidence has come out now that they're having these hearings. Poor Candace Owens and the rest of the gang in Podcastistan is going to have to come up with something else on how it's a conspiracy. They're awful people. All right, 281-558-KSEV. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Radio, Texas born, Texas raised. The voice of Texas. The Three Amigos.
You all are appointment listening. I listen to you every Friday afternoon. Everything stops for you all.
The Three Amigos. Make an appointment every Friday afternoon at 4 on The Voice of Texas.
A must-have news feed for conservatives. Keep up to date on the key conservative issues with the KSEV Facebook page. From the news you need to know, to the topics that KSEV listeners are talking about, to KSEV events. There's a lot to like and a lot to share. Go to facebook.com/KSEV700 or find the link at KSEVradio.com. Thanks for listening to KSEV Radio. Now, join the conversation online. Facebook.com/KSEV700.
When it's time to replace a roof, some people put it off until an emergency arises. This is Deb Tejada from Tejas Roofing, your Houston roofing company. I understand. People tell me it's way too complicated and too expensive.
Our customers tell us they wish they would have done it sooner.
I hear it all the time. Once the roof is replaced, they wonder why they waited so long because it's really not that complicated. We show up on time, we quote you a fair price, we replace most roofs in just one day. At Tejas Roofing, we take pride in making the process easy.
The cleanup is phenomenal. People always comment that it looks like we were never there. And now those customers sleep better at night knowing your new roof has been installed correctly.
When you know you need a new roof, don't put it off. Call me now, Deb Tejada at Tejas Roofing, 281-251-0304. Estimates are free, 281-251-0304. When you need roofing repairs, a new roof or remodeling, call us at Tejas Roofing, 281-251-0304.
Shop's back! 50 years in the Lone Star State, a one-stop shop so you're never late. Price is so low that you want to know which way to Specs. Come on, let's go. Specs wine, spirits, and finer foods. World-class service, that's all about you. Shop Specs, it's how we do. A huge selection since 62. Shop Specs, low price, amazing. Here's to you. Shop. Cheers to savings.
The best in financial talk and more. Money Matters, every Monday through Thursday from 11 a.m. till noon, here on AM 700 KSEV, AM 1540 KGBC, and streaming online at KSEVradio.com.
From the KSEV Weather Center, tonight expect partly cloudy skies with high humidity and a low temperature of 77. Tomorrow, anticipate a mix of clouds and sunshine along with the possibility of a thunderstorm in some areas. The humidity continues, so watch out for ponding on roadways. Temperatures will reach a high of 91. Tomorrow night will bring mostly cloudy conditions and high humidity with a low of 77. Looking ahead to Saturday, expect mostly cloudy skies and humid weather with a chance of a thunderstorm in the afternoon. The high temperature will be 92. With the KSEV Weather Center forecast, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Jason Caterina.
And now, back to ChrisXradio on the Voice of Texas.
Well, we can still rock in America for now. I was reading during the break, according to the Department of Homeland Security, an illegal alien accused of killing a 6-year-old had been deported 3 times. Can we sue Claudia Sheinbaum in Mexico for allowing her citizen dirtbags to come to America and kill American citizens? In fact, there are literally thousands of American citizens that have been either murdered or killed by illegal immigrants in our country. Should we be able to do a big class action lawsuit against Mexico and maybe have them pay us? I mean, she's talking about looking at legal action against ICE agents for enforcing federal immigration law regarding the latest shooting here in Houston. We've now learned, at least we heard from Sylvia Garcia, a Democrat, so who knows. But the person in the van, not the driver, the person who was shot and killed, a person in the van was the one who had the warrant. Mr. Salgado Arujo was driving the van. One of the passengers was the one with the warrant. And at any point in time, does it matter that these people are ignoring federal agents' commands? At any point in time, do Democrats, do these race hustlers, at any point in time, does that come into play? That, listen, if you're given commands by law enforcement, you have to follow them. If we're not going to follow laws anymore, well, sorry, Mexican nationals shouldn't be the only ones that don't have to follow laws. Americans, anybody from everywhere, so there goes law and order. Congratulations, you're Mexico. Congratulations, your other dirt hole countries that these people escape from to come to our country to turn it into a dirt hole country, and then their dirt hole leaders in these dirt hole countries now want to sue us because your people are acting like dirt hole people. I'm sorry he died. I really wish he would not have ignored the officer's commands and did what he was told, and then he probably wouldn't have even been in trouble because he had been hiding in our country for 35 years illegally. It ain't like he didn't have time to get out. Okay, I should calm down. People think I get really mad when I do that. I don't, I just get animated. Welcome back to ChrisXradio. It is our Friday show on Thursday. Just watching the media go full propaganda mode, which they always do. And as our previous caller mentioned, wow, they sure had some really nice printed up signs. They had those really quickly to get in and do the protest, and they're going to try to turn it into the next George Floyd, even though this guy was probably a million times better human being than George Floyd was. But it doesn't make him an angel, and he definitely wasn't a citizen of our country, and he was here illegally, and he apparently ignored lawful commands and tried to. If he hit an ICE vehicle with his van and then tried to run over an ICE agent, I don't know what to tell you, partner. You try to run over a dude who's a federal law officer who has a gun, you might get shot and killed. Congratulations. You just become a Darwin Award winner. All right, 281-558-KSEV, 281-558. It is our Friday show on Thursday. Let's go out to El Marco, who's been patiently holding in Fulshire. Marco, thank you for hanging on. Welcome to ChrisXradio.
Hey, Chris, just come, hold your breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Om.
Yes, sir. Will do.
Yeah. Anyway, no, I was talking about the false or the illegal campaign contributions. The common term they use is called Smurf. ACLU's been caught now officially. They're in the process of several legal actions, and this is where they, through organizations and individuals like Soros, and some of their false funds, their charities or whatever, they give millions of dollars of donations, and then they go out, they get a bunch of people, and in a lot of cases, these people, they're not even aware of it, and they use them over and over, and there's been all sorts of documentation where there was like hundreds and sometimes thousands of $5, $10, and $15 donations from the same person. And, like I say, it should be a matter of just once they finalize or do this, they go to these people and verify that, no, I didn't donate all those times. I just donated once or twice or whatever, because they could check their accounts and all this other stuff. But, yeah, Act Blue is under it, and there's another organization too. But the term that they used, what they did for some of these illegal contributions, small but in the multitudes, was called smurfing.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I've seen some of the reports where they'll go and interview these old ladies that are like 60, 70 years old that donated $30, $40, $50, $60, $70,000 to Democrat candidates, and they're like, I didn't donate a penny to these people. I don't know what you're talking about. So, yeah, you're right on. You're absolutely right on. And they're, like I said, it's called smurfing, I guess. And they're smurfing. Act Blue is really good at it. And then you get into these other Democrat-run organizations, these Democrat operatives. They're really – basically, I call the Democrat Party the greatest money laundering operation in existence. They go in, they get these politicians elected by donating millions of dollars to their campaigns. They go up to, Washington, D.C. or whatever, and then they vote to give organizations like Planned Parenthood $500+ million. Then the liberal running the local Planned Parenthoods donate $2, $3, $4, $5 million to the individual candidates. It's masterful money laundering is all it is.
Absolutely. And there was another thing I read a couple days ago now that some of these, they call them, I forgot the term now, but they're being paid as much as $8,000 a month to be at these protests and all this other stuff. They're more than just a protester too. They're one of the organizers at each of these, and the terminology fails me, but yeah, it's a good racket for that, and somehow I got to believe that it's illegal, most of that, but they just got to, pin them down on it. Anyway, I'll let you go for now, Chris, to let someone else jump in there, but I thought I'd do that twice in the first week of the 250th nation anniversary. So I thought I'd throw that in. Take care. Love you. Bye.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate it, Marco. Yeah, really good points. These paid-for protests, the rent-a-mobs is what I call them, or certain people have called them. But that's what they are. They go and they put ads in like Craigslist or whatever these little papers are or online deals. Hey, listen, you get paid up to $20 an hour to come and protest. That's why these protesters have no idea what they're protesting, and they don't care. They're already liberals to begin with, which explains why they're always young people or older retired people. They have no idea. They're just getting paid, and then they get out and try to pretend to be some sort of activist, which they are activists, but they're getting paid by these big money groups, and that's another way they launder money. But, these rent-a-mobs. Every time there's something that is politically expedient, George Floyd, Renee Good, Alex Pretty, they get in, and once again, some of these people are method actors, and they get in and perform a little too well and get themselves in trouble and get themselves hurt or killed. Usually they're just dirtbags that run around holding signs and screaming into megaphones, but occasionally they get away with assaulting people with a different opinion. Always. They do that all the time. So, it's the various ways the Democrat Party operates. They're very good at it. Speaking of, all right, 281-558 KSEV. Thanks for the call, Al Marco. Always good to hear from you. And, your points are dead on. You're absolutely right. They're good at smurfing, which is a funny term to me. But it's not funny what they're doing. These people are dirtbags. It goes into, like I said, we're talking about James Talafrica, who supposedly raised, $30 million here in his second go-around. He's going to raise a ton of money. Absolutely. The Democrat machine and quote-unquote people, which I have no doubt people are absolutely donating to him, are going to pour in $150 million into his campaign to try to convince everybody that he's just like you and me, that he's a moderate guy, he's not a radical leftist weirdo who's in love with trannies. They're going to do everything they can to convince everybody of that. And it's going to take $100+ million. And they're going to spend it. Just like his terrible commercial. his commercial where he's coming out of the little grocery store, and he was the one who got everybody to work together. He was the one who cut your property taxes. He was the one, while he was up there literally fighting against all of it. But that's how Democrats operate. They want to convince you the candidate of their choice is just like you and is a good guy when it's anything but, and convince you that the person that you should support that actually has more in line with you is a terrible monster human being. And they'll lie to do it, they'll cheat, and they'll steal. It's how they roll. All right, 281-558-KSEV if you want to join us here on our Friday show on Thursday. So Jasmine Crockett has come out. They have not found the right number of dollars to give her yet to get her to shut up. She's arguing that racism, not politics, was the deciding factor in her Democrat primary loss to Talafrico. The reality is there was a lot of racists. Not a lot. It was racist. It was a racist race. It is what it is, right? But we live in America, and as y'all celebrating 250, okay? We know what this country is. She's out race hustling as hard as she can. And she will do it at the detriment of her own party because she didn't get the nomination. Crockett rejected criticism that she should have spent more time campaigning alongside Talarico. She's not going to campaign with him. Nope. She's not interested. Run around with this gay white dude, not even remote. She's a sister girl. And it's black power, and she is not going to cater to the white man, especially a gay, white, trans-loving white guy. Nope. The best thing that I can do for James Talarico isn't me standing on a stage with him. It is the fact that I've endorsed 5 candidates in the runoff who all happen to be black men in the state of Texas, and every single one of them won. How come racism didn't stop them from winning, Jasmine, but it stopped you? Basically, whatever excuse she can come up with to not campaign with Talarico is what it's going to be. People keep trying to say, well, Jasmine has to go and hold his hand. No, I don't. Oh, no, I don't. No, you didn't. If you can give people more than one thing to vote for, then you have a better chance of getting them out of the polls. So she's going to rally around the black candidates who won. She's going to campaign for them on the down ballot and not campaign for Talafrico. First of all, I can't imagine you thinking she was just going to jump on board. You're going to have to pay her. That's what they had to do to Bernie Sanders after they screwed him out of beating Hillary Clinton in the primary. Remember when he was getting all this, they had to bring out superdelegates? And then they bought him his third house, a summer cottage, if you will, on Lake Champlain. Oh, I'm sorry, Lake Champlain. I drink a lot of champagne at my summer cottage, the really expensive kind, because I'm a socialist. They bought him his third house. He's a socialist with 3 houses that keeps the AC at 72 at all times, there and at any hotel he stays at. My God, socialism pays well for those in charge, right? So you got her. She said, I've not heard a bunch of kumbaya. People don't seem to be convinced at this point, but there's a lot of time between now and November. Now, here's the good thing. Now that I'm imitating her, someone's going to call in and try to tell me I'm being racist. I remember somebody called and told me I was being racist when I was imitating Sylvester Turner. I was like, am I racist when I imitate Joe Biden? Am I racist when I imitate Donald Trump? Am I racist when I imitate Nancy Pelosi? Am I racist when I imitate James Talafrico? Am I racist when I imitate any of these others? Or is it only when I imitate black candidates? If you see racism behind every rock and behind every tree, you might be a racist. It just might be. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back, wrap up today's show. The U.S., by the way, announced a new round of strikes against the Iranian military after President Trump declared the brokered ceasefire is over with Tehran. The response is to Iran's attacks, is their attacks. The response is to Iran's attacks on commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. And I don't think it's going to back down any until they come to the table, which it may take a little while. Also, we can talk about the Charlie Kirk conspiracy theories about who killed him. It looks like it's a pretty open and shut case with Mr. Tyler Robinson. The evidence presented in the first hearing is overwhelming. All right, 281-558 KSEV. You're listening to ChrisX Radio. We've only got one segment remaining of our Friday show on Thursday, and then we'll turn things over to the Craig Collins Show coming up at 6 p.m., and then the Amigos take over tomorrow. So we're off to the weekend already.
Tune in each Sunday morning at 9 a.m. for On the Money with your host and CEO of Allied Wealth Texas, Ryan Wheelis, who can help you live your richest life possible during your retirement years. That's each Sunday at 9 a.m. right here on AM 700 KSEV.
Everyone knows the BBB is the Better Business Bureau, but depending on what you need, it's the Better Plumber Bureau, the Better Auto Mechanic Bureau, the Better Accountant Bureau. That's because the BBB connects people with businesses they can trust. So think of the BBB as the better check that business out first so you don't get ripped off bureau. Be smart. Always look for the BBB seal because it's looking out for you. And find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
Do your employees need training in cybersecurity protocol? Call Tactical Cyber Services to discuss options and make sure your company is secure. Call 713-229-0030 or go online to tacticalcyberservices.com.
Chris X here to tell you about Humble Amco Transmission and AC Specialists. People who know go to Amco. I personally trust Jay Streckfus and Humble Amco with all of my vehicle's needs. With complete car care, they'll take care of all of your auto needs as well. Always a free check engine light inspection, and tell them that Chris X sent you for a free engine scan. Call Jay today at 281-446-0862. That's 281-446-0862 or online at humbleamco.com.
Check-A-Pro Joe here. Don't miss the Check-A-Pro Radio Show, your trusted source for home service pros. This week, we're featuring Bel Air Air Conditioning, keeping Houston cool and comfortable. Tune in every Friday at 11 a.m., right here on AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas.
Plumbing emergencies never happen at a convenient time. Nix Plumbing offers free estimates and free second opinions. Call Nix Plumbing and Sewer Services, 713-868-9907, or visit us on the web, nixplumbing.com.
MPL 38548.
Do you need money? Want to lower your monthly debt? Are you thinking about a cash-out refinance? Hi, it's Kathy from Baker Mortgage. A cash-out refinance can get you back in your comfort zone, and that's what it's all about. A recent client who closed with us had his payment go up about $300, but his monthly outgo was being reduced by $1,200, so giving him a net positive cash flow of $900. It's not about adding debt, but restructuring it in a way that makes sense. And this math totally makes sense. And please don't sweat it if your interest rate is going up a little or if you're extending the term. I can show you by taking a small amount of what you're saving monthly and applying it towards your mortgage, you're going to pay it off just as quickly and you'll be way ahead in the money game, which is where we all want to be, right? Remember, we want to help you, but we're not going to help you over a cliff. Baker Mortgage, 281-313-MOVE, or go directly to bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License number 263213.
And now, we return you to your regularly scheduled dose of common sense. ChrisX Radio. ChrisX Radio.
You know, I haven't even mentioned our video streaming all day. We stream all the videos of the program the entire 2 hours at KSEV Radio on Facebook, Twitter, Twitter X, YouTube, Rumble. And I'm wearing my final of my USA shirts, my USA 250 with my flags and stars and stripes. These are great shirts. They look awesome. I'm wearing my final one. I think this is the last one. I think you've seen all the others. So I can go back to wearing normal shirts next week, I guess. So anyway, but I'm wearing it. I've got them. Like I said, make sure I'm wearing these. They're comfortable shirts. They're good fabric. Probably made in China. Okay, China. It's got America all over it. It's America. America 250. Coming again to save the mother-loving day here. I need to find, which I'm sure I'll probably get, we'll get dinged on social media for that. Team America World Police. What a great movie. Man, I saw the behind the scenes of that movie, the making of it. My Lord, those guys put in a lot of work. The South Park guys did. They're weird dudes, but they put in a ton of work into that movie. All right, anyway, welcome to the final segment of the program. We're going to wrap things up, turn it over to the Craig Collins Show, who's doing his second round. He filled in for Chris Salcedo this morning. I'm told he's filling in tomorrow morning. You can tune in and listen to the Craig Collins program here coming up next. I'm sure he'll tell you for sure. But his show comes up here each Monday through Friday at 6 p.m., which means he'll be on again tomorrow following the Amigos. So make sure you listen to the Amigos every Friday from 4 to 6. That's why we do our Friday show today here on Thursday. And then it's officially here in about, 5 minutes? It's officially the weekend for me. Then I'm out and I'm done. All right, let's go to the phones. It looks like apparently we get an encore performance here from Jimmy X. He's calling back in. Jimmy, thanks for calling back in. What do you got now? What's going on?
No, this is Jimmy X of the second power, not the OG.
Oh, okay. Okay, that wasn't clarified on the call screen. So this is a different Jimmy X. Jimmy X to the second power, who's always welcome on the program as well. What's on your mind today, Jimmy?
Well, I think you're suffering from CDS. You just went off too long on Madam that we don't even wish to mention her name because that's what we do to criminals.
That's pretty funny.
So anyway, on a serious note, I'm not sure a lot of people, and this is something, understand the significance of the Star-Spangled Banner. Many know that Francis Scott Key was on board a slave ship, but what it was he was a negotiator that went on board because American soldiers were being kept offshore in prison ships, and they had negotiated with the British to swap 1-for-1 the American captives for English captives. And he was on board ship to negotiate that. He said before he negotiated, he asked the admiral on board for him to go down and talk to the men. The admiral, of course, said yes. When he came back up after telling the men that they were going to be free very quickly to get back to their families, he went back up top, and that was when he thanked the admiral for releasing them, and he said, "Oh, we don't care where they go, because you see all those dots on the horizon?" And Francis Scott Key turned around and saw it. He goes, "That's the British Armada coming, and if that flag on that rampart right there doesn't come down by twilight, we're going to start bombing, and we will not stop as long as that flag is standing." And so we don't care where they go. There won't be anything left. Every time that Francis Scott Key went down to tell the people below deck what was happening and what was going on, their question to him is the flag still standing? Not can we go free, but is the flag still standing? He noticed something in the early morning hours, and people can check this in history, that the flag was landing a little bit off to the side, and so he assumed that it was because of a cannon fire that had hit the flagpole, and that was true. But if you saw the flag that was on the stage with Trump for the 250 celebration, it was bloodstained. And here's why. It wasn't leaning. Yes, the flagpole was hit, but it was because those inside the fort would not let it touch the ground. And every time that a person that was holding the flag was killed, someone else stepped in to make sure the flag never went down. And so the reason it was crooked, they couldn't find a solid place to stand on because they were leaning over the bodies of those who had died previously. That's why I cry with the national anthem. That's why I'm proud of America, and I know exactly what it stands for, and I will never let somebody defame it in my presence.
Man, thanks for the call, Jimmy. I don't think you could have said it any better. And that's part of history that people probably should study, learn it. I've heard some of it. I haven't heard all of it. Of course, I read a lot of it. But people need to understand where that came from and why it came from and how important it is. Jimmy X to the second power. Always good to hear from you. Great call. Boy, talk about a great call to end the show. Yeah, I shouldn't even say anything. I should just go to break. Turn things over to the Craig Collins Show. Yeah, take that, Craig Collins. Try to top Jimmy X to the second power. Unless he calls in with another history lesson for everyone during your show, which he just might. All right, everybody, be safe. Enjoy the Craig Collins Show coming up here at 6. And have a